And Jones, ladies and gentlemen, I want to pivot to restorative justice. This is what the Redemption Project is all about. Airing Sunday, 9 p.m. On CNN, and restorative justice seeks to heal those who are harmed by crime, and usually it's heinous, violent crime. And in the first episode of Mother's Justice, you tell the story of Donald Lacy.
Yes.
And Donald Lacy, for those who don't know, is
he's a legend.
He's a legend in Oakland.
Yeah.
You know, this guy not only is a comedian, but he's an activist. And if you look at the signs on Oakland, it says "Love Life."
That's a slogan.
That's his slogan. And that "Love Life" is what his daughter, LoEsha Lacy, that's what her name meant. And I remember back in, I want to say 1997, I was on the air at KMEL. And she was a high school student over at McClimas High, and she was a part of she was gunned down, you know, and
totally innocent. I mean, just one of those good kids, great kids, big future. Everybody knows her, everybody loves her. She's in every club, president of every club, and she's just in the wrong car at the wrong time. And people came by and shot the car up, trying to get the dude that was in the car, not trying to get her. But she was the one that died.
The crazy part was when the father told the story about she was in the front seat originally, which is where one of the survivors was sitting, but then told her to switch seats because she didn't want to be seen by the guy she was dating and think like she was riding with another new guy. So she would have lived had she stayed in that front seat.
Yeah, so, I mean, that was really where we first got together, because that was a tragedy that shocked the whole Bay Area. And, you know, now we've gotten so coarse. I mean, you know, they have mass shootings every day. We don't even blink. We just go past it on Instagram. We don't even like it or click it or, you know, say thoughts and prayers no more. But back then, for a young girl to just get gunned down, 7 shots in a car, I mean, it shocked the whole Bay Area. And I mean, you guys at KMEL, I mean, it was a year. It wasn't like a one-day story.
No,
it was like a year-long grieving process, whatever. So Donald Lacy, you know, thanks to you and other people, he's like a legend in Oakland as somebody who took his daughter's death and became an activist and really tried to do something about all those murders that were going on at that time. And so my show, we go back to Donald Lacy. 20 years later, he's never spoken to the young man who was convicted for murdering his daughter, even though he's just right across the bridge in San Quentin prison. Wow. And he said, I want to talk to this brother. I want to find out why he did this. I need to have some, he said, you never get to closure, but you can at least get to some healing. I need to understand what happened. And so we film Chris, tell his whole backstory, film Donald Lacy, being Donald Lacy, you know, in the community, doing all the stuff he's doing, but it's building toward this moment that we're going to walk Donald Lacy into the prison and sit him down and let Chris leave his cell, walk down the tier, open the door, and sit down face to face, damn near knee to knee with this man. And the conversation they have, I'm not going to give it away. But, man, and I mean, for me, because I was marching behind Donald Lacy 20-some years ago.
Yeah, we all were.
We all were.
Yeah.
To be sitting there when he finally got a chance to have this conversation, man, I mean, guards were crying.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy.
I was crying watching it because we were all so close to it. And here's the thing: Chris was 16 years old
at the time.
At the time he committed the murder, he basically admitted to it, turned himself in, and had lived with it for all this time. And I've never seen, a lot of times when people are in jail, folks feel like it's contrived remorse, but this guy was really in pain. And we find out about his story. His mom used to leave him and his brothers for weeks at a time. They were eating garbage out of street cans and all of these different things.
And that's a big part of what we're trying to do on the show. It's not, listen, but like I said, 2 of the 8 shows, 2, it does not end up as warm and fuzzy. 3, it ends up, in a different way, some in the middle. We're not trying to preach to anybody. We're not trying to say it's a should. You should talk to the person who did this. You should forgive. No. But you could. And just knowing that you could, some of these folks, you don't understand, you're living in your own prison of not knowing and grief and what did happen. Because the thing, our system works, everybody, we spend $80 billion a year on an incarceration industry, and the next year we spend another $80 billion, and the next year another $80 billion. Well, what are we getting for it? Because even the victims, the survivors, they go to court, they can't say nothing. The lawyers talk, the cops talk, the investigators talk, the judges talk, everybody talks but them. sometimes the person cops a plea, they never get on stand and say a word. And now it's just as well, okay, he copped a plea, is 35 years. Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Next case. What happened?
Yeah.
And then if the person does testify, often they're not going to testify, but if they do, they test a lie and they're not testifying because they're trying to get out of trouble. If they apologize as a mitigation, what really happened?
Yeah.